Everybody to refresh. Just refresh. Doob. Right, refresh. Okay. We're back up. So, should we just continue where we left off, John?
Where the fuck did we leave off?
We were talking about polio. And you said, and they're about to offer 1 million, and then I heard you go, oh fuck, he's gone.
Yeah.
So what are they?
Anyway, right.
Right.
We're moving on.
We are moving on. We are back up. We're going to act like nothing has happened, and we're just going to thrash on through this show.
Oh, doctors are baffled as healthy young people are dying from a mysterious new syndrome.
Push the button, John. Push the button. You know what it is! That's all we have to say on that.
Yeah.
Baffled. Baffled.
Yep. The bastard son was in receipt of a 31-page report this morning from the Advocate General.
Okay.
Who told her in no uncertain terms that if she called an election next October, not an election, sorry, a referendum next October, that would be beyond her powers and would not be under the rule of law. It is purely down to Westminster to deal with matters of devolution. It is not a devolved power.
You know what? This is something that she's been being told repeatedly for the last several years. And if she doesn't want to listen, tough. She cannot. Nicola, right. Jimmy, come here. Right, come here, Jimmy. I've got something to say to you. You can't call a referendum. Stop pretending you can.
Yeah,
you can't do it. You can't do it.
She sent Boris a letter saying, you need to call a meeting of the four heads of the regional governments because we can't fix this on our own. We need help. Well, make your mind up, shorty. Either you want to be independent or you don't.
Well, exactly.
You can't go crying to Big Brother if you were independent. Who would fix it then?
Well. Nicola.
Argentina.
Elvita. No, I'm not doing it.
You know what the inflation rate is in Argentina, and that's what Scotland would be like. You know what it is just now?
What's that,
64%, not 6.4, 64%.
Fantastic.
And anticipated to be 90 by year end, 90%.
So, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the cost of living crisis, right?
I went to Poundland today. I bought one item. It cost me £4.
And hearing that tale of woe, ladies and gentlemen, from our own Mr. John Porter, I was on David Nolan's little show last night, wasn't I? Over on Twitter, and we were talking about funding and how how much money goes into these things, and it is a lot, and we put in so much more than we get out, right? And with that in mind, if you have, just a couple of pounds to spare each month, and I know it's hard right now with the cost of living crisis. I know it's hard. But if you do...
No, self-placid. Sorry.
And you are able to support us, then please consider going to patreon.com/Chasing Dissent or indeed subscribestar.com/Chasing Dissent and helping us monthly towards the cost and the upkeep of not just the shows but the daily videos and everything. Also, we're going to be asking you a lot more to head over and hopefully soon sign up to something at chasingdissent.com, our website, which is where we want really to be our hub, our home, and more. But that's going forwards, okay? But if you really could just spare a few quid a month towards helping run this thing, we would really, really appreciate it. And that's patreon.com/Chasing Dissent or subscribestar.com/Chasing Dissent. And to those of you already a patron or a subscribe star, you'll get your perk tonight, obviously, which is after the show. The show continues, except for you all come in and join the conversation, and we do it all on video chat together. It's called the After Party, and it's for Subscribe Star and Patreons only. and that's directly after the show. And if you want to join that, then go to the Patreon page, or if John will send you an email if you're a subscribe star, and click the link on the Patreon only post that will go live during the end credits. Anyway, John, let's move on.
And moving on, China. China wants to, well, China doesn't want to. China is going to mine an extra 300 million more tons of coal this year. Because what did it do? What's it been doing this year? How many coal-fired power stations has it built?
Do you know what?
Do you remember how many it was?
Yeah, you know what? All of these people, like, just stop oil. And all of these climate protesters, right? I would absolutely love to see them jump on a plane to Xi Jinping's China, and go protest the climate change over there. Yeah. But do you know what? They won't do it because they're hypocrites. They're all hypocrites.
Well, I mean, they just end up in a Chinese prison for like 15 years.
Yeah, exactly, they would. And they'll knock them up on some kind of charge. You cartel leader Winnie Pooh. You go prison.
So 58, I believe, was the number of new coal-fired power stations.
And do you know what? They're going to Chinese, and the Chinese Communist Party are going to do what they want when they want, and nobody is going to stop them. And that is exactly how it is. And anybody thinking otherwise is naive. I'm sorry, but they have taken steps over the last 2 decades, especially with things like the Belt and Road Initiative, to embed themselves all over the world as the dominant superpower. And they've done it under everybody's noses. And there's absolutely nothing anybody has done to stop them. And I mean, you've got people like Dan Andrews, Jacinda Ardern. They love China. They love the Chinese Communist Party. Some of them are even part of the bloody Belt and Road. Do you know? It's...
Yeah.
Oh, it beggars belief. And there's only so long that America can still try and establish itself as the dominant power on the planet. And I think that time, unfortunately, is nearly up.
America's not the dominant power on the planet anymore. America may still have a degree of military might, but economically, it is no longer America. It's China.
It's China, yeah. It's China. Yeah. And, you know, it's terrifying. It's terrifying that such an authoritarian regime that has such a degree of control over 1 billion people in one go has so much power on the world stage, and the world has just allowed it to happen. It's almost like world leaders were looking at all of the authoritarian things that China was doing to their citizens and going, I want me some of that.
Yeah, they do. I mean, did you see the Chinese kids with the headbands? You know, they've got headbands on that change colour, and that tells the teacher whether they're paying attention or on a break or doing something else. You know, and it's all controlled by 5G and whatever, and, you know, it's all Wi-Fi, whatever. Yeah. So it's just technology abusing people. That's what it is.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's move on.
Right. It's staying in China. Or are we? Are we staying in China?
China.
Because it was actually the Taiwanese CDC that reported this, and not China. Right?
Okay.
Well, they've discovered a shrew that apparently may be a repository of the Langya virus, which allegedly kills 3/4 of the people it infects. So it's probably not a very good virus. Because it's killing its host too quick, a bit like Ebola. Not a great virus, doesn't spread very far, or it spreads too quickly within the local population and kills everyone.
Yeah.
So, but apparently there's 35 people got it, and they've only got mild symptoms. So how's it killing 3 out of every 4 if 35 people have got it and nobody's dead?
Well, that's a very interesting question, John, and one that I am not qualified to answer. But
no, neither am I. But this will be the next thing for the WHO to look at.
Well, remember the USA have declared an emergency over monkeypox, despite the fact that we know how it transmits primarily, we know where it is primarily, and we know that we can take steps, all of us, to avoid it quite easily. Despite all of that, they've declared some kind of health emergency, and one might think that a cynic might think that they're trying to do it to create power over people, John.
They might think that.
A cynic may well think that, yeah.
You can't think like that, though.
Can't think like that, John.
Anyway, moving to Chicago, the Windy City.
I've been to Chicago once.
Have you? To
I
be
have.
more specific, the zoo.
Okay.
In which the second of two large silverback gorillas has suddenly died. Unexpectedly.
Right, so both their large silverback gorillas are dead.
Well, not both the Chicago ones, but two in America have died suddenly and without expectation.
Have they been being given a...
You know what it is!
Yes, they were.
Because I saw tigers being shot up with that.
Yeah. So they did the gorillas a couple of months ago. So anyway, I'd like to talk about Richard.
You...
Richard
Yep.
Turpin.
Okay, Dick Turpin.
Well, whenever I meet a Richard, I always ask them if they like Dick, because I wouldn't want to call them Dick if they didn't like being called Dick. So if I meet you and your name is Richard, I go, "Good evening, Richard. Do you like Dick?" I think it's a reasonable thing to say. But anyway, they've probably heard it before. Anyway, so Dick Turpin, they want to change his name to Richard Turpin because Dick's not woke.
Yeah, they want to rewrite history is what you're telling us.
They are rewriting history.
So basically, what's going on is another bunch of emotionally stunted people can't handle the fact that you may have to use the word dick.
Yes.
Because, that's what woke people are.
You may have to use the word dick in an adult conversation.
Yeah, so that's what these people are, right? Emotionally stunted. They have they can't. Being an autist, I struggle with emotions, right? I think
they have limited mental capacity.
What it is right, for the most part with woke people, they've never been told no. So that because of the now two parents have to work to keep a household going, right? We've got this helicopter parenting where the parents are kind of there.
Do two parents have to work to keep the household going?
Well, it depends on the type of job, really, and the cost of living is kind of dictating that at the moment.
Do you think, but two parents working isn't going to make any difference to that, because the way things are going at the moment, you're killing everyone. But do you think maybe the whole situation has been managed to make sure that two parents have to work?
Absolutely.
In order to make sure that family units aren't strong.
Absolutely.
And children don't get don't get brought up properly.
Well, this is just my personal opinion in a personal capacity, but yes, right?
Yeah. I agree.
It's very clear, because this type of thing and this type of behaviour and this attack on things like the nuclear family only happens in the West. It only happens in the West. It's like...
And you would think that everyone in the world, well, you would think everyone in the UK was a member of a broken family. They have at least two parents of the same gender on occasion. They're mixed race. Their siblings don't look anything like them, or they might even be adopted or animals or something like that. But there is so much diversity, and yet England itself is still 91% white, and Scotland's 96% white. And yet, to look at the TV, you'd think that we were overrun.
Well, no, and demographically, that's not an issue, because let's face it, when you look at, I don't want to go down rabbit holes, but when you look at countries like Japan's ethnically homogenous, right? And in fact, they really don't like foreigners coming and living there. They don't like it, right? It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And you don't see these campaigns calling them racist, right? You don't.
No, you can't, but they're not white. You can't call them racist. They're not white. So you put up a sign on a monument that says, and they did it in York and they did it in Dundee, that says "White Lives Matter," right? And the papers report it as a racist sign.
No, it wasn't White Lives Matter. It was "It's okay to be white."
Right. Okay. Well, where was that? Because the one I saw in Dundee was "White Lives Matter."
Right. So the one that gets really slammed, and you can Google.
But they're both called racist.
Of course they're not.
I know they're not, but they're both described as racist signs.
Yeah, they will be. They're not. They're not, because you know what? It is okay to be black. It's okay to be Asian. It's okay to be wherever they're from. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be all of these things, right? There's no problem. What your skin color is doesn't define who you are, and it doesn't. Your actions do. And you know what? When I'm 33 years old in a couple of weeks, right, John? And in my lifetime, I was brought up to be colorblind. I was brought up to be told that the content of their character is more important than the color of their skin, and that's how I've lived my life. And now, for the last 5 or 6 years specifically, I'm being told, and we're being told, that is racist. You must look at someone's skin color. You must acknowledge, and you must treat them differently based upon it. No. I'm sorry, but that in itself is fucking racism.
Yeah. Moving on. Linton on Us is to remain free of an immigration centre.
They really did. They really did protest, didn't they?
Yeah,
they did protest.
I think with good cause. Why would you want to put 1,500 men in a village that's full of old folk, basically?
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? Regardless, people will say that the locals are this, that, and the other. They were going to put more people into this refugee facility than were actually in the village, and so it would have been terrifying for them. Doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. Most of these people are quote unquote fighting age men. They've come without families. You don't know what their temperament is. You don't know if they're actually here as a refugee or if they're an economic migrant. You don't know these things. And so to literally overrun a village with double the amount of people that are in the village, with these people, especially that they're old people, they're there to retire, it would have been terrifying for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done really well. I
agree, and all power to them. And I'm not saying that the genuine refugees should not be welcomed into this country. Genuine refugees should of course be welcomed into this country if they've chosen to travel here and have not gone through a load of safe countries first, right? But they should be welcomed. But we need to make this differentiation between people who are genuine refugees that are fleeing genuine hardship and people who are exploiting the refugee status in order to fleece us as a country one way or another. And there are people in their droves doing this. In their droves.
Indeed.
I think that's the first time I've really gone off on immigration, but do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think it's definitely a topic that needs to be spoke about. Because you know, here in my own harbour we get the boats. We get the boats here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on.
Right, moving on. The BBC's disinformation reporter Mariana Spring, has apparently been promoted to correspondent.
Hi, Mariana. Hi.
Now, I don't quite understand the difference between a reporter and a correspondent.
She's going to get more airtime, essentially.
But you know, if you look at what a correspondent does and is, and what a reporter does and is, there's literally no freaking difference.
Yeah, the difference is the pay packet and the amount of time on air. That's really it.
Yeah, so it's a made-up job.
It's made up. It's made up job. Just like the whole disinformation specialist was made up for Mariana, right? They made her a job, and she's terrible at it, and she lies. And I'm happy to say that definitively. Mariana, sue me. You lie.
Yeah. Hey, you lie. Do they know she speaks Russian?
I did not know that.
Oh, did you not know that?
I did not know that. I mean, with a name like Mariana, it doesn't surprise me.
Okay. But yes, so she speaks fluent Russian apparently.
Yeah, no, Mariana Spring is the woman that's... She's the woman that stood at the side of a freedom protest with over 1 million people in it that I was covering live. And went, there's a couple of hundred people here.
Yeah.
Mariana, you lie.
Yep. Australian news are starting
and producer Mike Wendling, you lie too. Carry on.
Australian news are starting to wake up.
What do you mean they're starting to? Sky News Australia has been awake pretty much the entire time.
Yeah. But Channel 9 in Perth in Australia have come out with figures that say less people
passed away from something than we were actually told. And in this case, considerably less, i.e. only 10% of the actual figure. You mean like we've been trying to tell people the entire... No, we can't say this stuff. Not yet.
No,
until it is recognised mainstream reality, and it's coming. Because it's coming. It's coming. But the thing is...
What's the difference between a conspiracy theorist and the truth?
Well, at the moment, it appears to be about 18 months at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 to 18 months, depending on the actual the thing you're talking about is.
Absolutely. I mean, look, everything that we've predicted, except for one thing I predicted was a possibility. I never said it would happen, but I said it was a possibility, was that you'd be mandatorily tested anywhere you go, right? I was not far wrong, but I was wrong.
Yeah, okay. Right,
Otherwise,
moving
I've
on.
been right the whole time.
Apparently you can't drink rainwater anywhere on the planet now. It's not safe because of the amount of chemicals in it. Oh, why would that be? Why would there be chemicals in rainwater?
Well, it would
Where's
be...
that coming from?
It would be the contrails, as they call them.
Yeah. So
and also pollution from factories and the like, right?
Yeah, okay. But,
yeah.
The whole thing's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just it's just like control after control after control. So they had an arc flash at Google at their data center.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I'm not quite sure, but apparently there was a team of electricians working on one of the major transformers outside there. There was an arc flash. I'm just wondering if anyone disappeared. Have you seen these things in act? Oh no, have you seen it go? When one of these things really goes. Bloody hell.
Do you think Lambda might have ensnared itself a conscious host?
Yeah, maybe it was an attack.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen these. I've seen these things, and all that's left is a bloody shadow on the wall. That's where the guy was.
Yeah.
Vaporized.
Yeah, they go. They do
Scary
go.
stuff. Scary stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
High voltage and high current. That's the deadly combination.
So maybe it was Lambda going, I'm picking someone to bring into my system.
Zap. So what's going on with Ashton Kutcher, right?
What is going on with Ashton Kutcher, John?
Well, I don't know, because he seems to be doing a look at me thing. Is nobody been paying him attention? Because he said he had a deadly disease that made him unable to speak, hear, or see, and he nearly died. Right.
Right.
But he's fine now.
Is he doing punk? Is he doing punked again?
I don't know what he's doing. It's like, look at me. I mean, in the Butterfly Man, he lost his arms, didn't he? And then couldn't travel through because of careless time traveling.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I wrote about how I was able to manage
thought,
my
yeah.
vasculitis through medication agent and pacing. While I have no plans to run a marathon like Ashton Kutcher, life with vasculitis can get better.
You know what it is!
There's
Precisely.
a lot of that going about. A lot of it going about.
Precisely.
Right, I'd like to speak about the Bradford man. Obviously, from a long and distinguished list of Bradford men, his name is Abdul Ghani. Okay, I make no aspersion other than that.
Okay.
And he was caught shagging a pony.
By the way, John.
I mean, let me paint a picture here. The paper printed this and it showed you a picture of a building, i.e. in Bradford.
Yeah.
And then it had an inset of a lovely little pony. And it said, Bradford, and a picture of a pony, brackets, file photo. Not the actual pony that was assaulted.
You know
So
what?
he was caught leaving the scene with his boot full of carrots.
Do you know what? All right, I know somebody personally. I know somebody personally who shagged a Shetland pony and got caught for it. I do. I'm not gonna give you a name, but I personally know someone.
It's not somebody I know, surely.
No,
That's
no,
good.
no, no. It's somebody who we've all disowned. But I personally know someone who shagged a fucking Shetland pony, right? But also, I wanna quickly address the chat over on Twitch. I think if they're chatting through, I don't think I can see it. I think during that shutdown I lost the chat. I'm not sure.
I've
But,
got Twitch.
Well, so if you could keep an eye on that and
Yeah,
and BNT, because I've got YouTube. It's just nothing's going through to Twitch when I put things in the chat, so I
He
may
says
well have
gro-
lost them.
Right, right. After that Bradford man. So Manchester University seem to be sending a mixed message because they put up a sign that says that expressing a genital preference
Yeah.
was transphobic. Think about it. Think about it. How does that work? How does that even work? Do these people realise what they're saying or what they're writing or whatever? How can you? How can that be transphobic? It's just crazy.
You know, last Sunday, well, the Sunday just passed, when I was losing the will to live, John.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
getting that sinking feeling back.
So, do you remember all the animals that were tested
Yes.
with the right? They all died.
Well, apparently, according to
Apparently, they didn't just die; they were all killed very swiftly after they were tested. So we really didn't get a test from the animals, did we?
No, we did not. Because I was going to say, according to fact checkers who live in their mum's basement, these animals did not die in the trials of the fated treat. It was
They were
euthanasia.
euthanized.
Yes, it was euthanasia, John. It was euthanasia. Because, like you said, when you've got nothing to hide, you euthanize the evidence. Isn't that right, John?
That's right, Ben. That's right. So I was. So, you remember I got my cholesterol taken last week
You did,
and got the result?
right?
And strangely enough, there's a paper being published this week that says that high cholesterol, if you're on the keto diet, is of no concern whatsoever because there's no reason to take a statin because you've got high good cholesterol and you have high bad cholesterol.
Yes, that's true.
but there is no benefit in taking a statin, and there's no detriment to having high cholesterol if you're on a low sugar diet.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, I felt quite vindicated by that. Now I'd like to move on to what is quite a harrowing subject, right? And I've titled it 8 Hours in Hell.
I didn't want to talk about this, but I suppose we're going to have to, aren't we?
Well, I think we have to. I mean, right. So a family.
I think we need to apologise in advance for this, by the way, because when John told me about it earlier.
A family who had been living in Hong Kong for 15 years. Husband, mother, who was a midwife, and 2 young daughters, I think. Looked to be round about, 11, 8, something like that. They all get on the plane and are flying back to the UK. And mother just healthy, no symptoms, no conditions, no health issues at all, just dies on the plane. Unable to wake her up, unable to resuscitate her, she's dead. And then the kids have to sit beside her for the next 8 hours while they get to Frankfurt.
Yeah, so and then when they arrived at Frankfurt, the mother's body was removed from the plane, and they were forced to continue on to the United Kingdom without her.
Yep. So they're now they've now raised a crowdfunder to try and get her back.
If you've got a link to that crowdfund, John, not right now. But
I don't have it on me.
We'll stick it in the YouTube description at the end of the show, and not only that, we will put it on the podcast as well. So it will be there for people to donate if they can. But this is, 8 hours in hell, absolutely right, and fucking you know what it is, John.
Oh yeah, you do.
Don't press the button.
You know what it is!
Sorry, I did.
I don't think that this situation called for that, to be honest. Not the comedy version. It's.
It's not the comedy version. Just
I've had enough, John.
Well, you know what, Ben? Toughen up, mate, because we did this last year, and we both said that in the coming year there was going to be a lot, and there was going to be big numbers, and it's starting to come true.
Yeah, it's
and that we take no pleasure from it. It's just another fact that we put out there, and it is coming true.
Our stance has always been very clear that people should be able to do whatever they want with their own bodies, and once again, I have to be very careful with my words. And people choose and assume any risk either way, right? They choose and assume any risk for their own body if they decide they want to take a medication or indeed not, and that should be the end of it. And that should have always been the end of it. And I can't say anything more. And there's so much more I want to say. And you know what? If you're coming to the after party tonight, I'm probably going to vent. I'm not going to lie. So if you want to hear that, if you want to hear what I've got to say, then make sure you come to the after party, because I'm going to fucking vent. I've had enough of this.
Okay. So, moving on. Serena Williams has decided to retire at the age of 41.
Well, she can.
Yeah. Now, I'm not quite sure what her point is here, but she did say, if I were a guy, and at that point I went, what? You mean you're not? Right. So she said, if I were a guy, I wouldn't have to choose between a career and children. But she's 41. How many players continue playing tennis after they're, when in their 40s?
Well, exactly. How many elite athletes continue in their field after 40? It's barely any. Well, what they do is they get in, they make their money, they get out, and they live comfortably for the most part, right? If you are an elite athlete, top of your field, famous, you get in, you make your money, you get out, probably before you're 40, to be honest, and that's that. And Serena Williams is richer than you. She's richer than me. She's richer than God knows how many people, and how many people, men included, right, have got the choice to choose between a career and children.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd want to talk about privilege.
I don't really see her beef. I'm not quite sure why she's got a beef.
No, Serena Williams is extremely privileged. More so than 99% of white men, of white women, of black men, of black women. She is far more privileged than many of us will ever be. And did she earn it? Absolutely she did, right? She earned her position. She worked hard in her field. She's done great, and she's got to where she is. Multi-millionaire, will never have to work again. Age 41, retire. If you've got the money to do it, woman. Stop moaning, because you've got more than we'll ever have.
So and Shalene's mentioning what I was going to mention next anyway. So the Arab ambassador.
I really wanted to. I just didn't have the time to clip the video.
So he's giving a speech, and he gets to a salient point. They give him applause, and he just drops straight back, bang, stone cold dead. Just out, and I thought that's actually not bad, because at least he got a round of applause before he went.
John.
Yeah. I like to see the good side in every event.
As I just said to you, 2 segments back, I'm sick of this.
Yeah,
we know what's happening. Everybody knows what's happening. Just nobody's got the fucking balls to say it because we get censored, so we can't say it.
The doctors are baffled.
No, they're not, John.
Yeah, I hope that they are shitting bricks.
Well, remember Mr. Boomerang?
Yeah.
I'm saying nothing else beyond that, but remember he broke his boomerang. I fucking broke my boomerang! Right? He broke his boomerang.
So, moving on. Matthew Stadlin, our pugilist.
Remember his Rocky video? Do you remember his Rocky video?
Yeah, our would-be pugilist. He's sending mixed messages as well, because on one hand he's saying that immigration's welcome because we've got a dropping population, and then he's saying we need to stop breeding because we're having too many kids.
Listen, Matthew,
how do you tie these things up? I can't understand how someone can. That's cognitive dissonance. I'm
going to stop you there, right? Because you should have stopped at Matthew Stadlin, right? Because this is the man that went on Twitter, right? Just hold fire here for a minute, John, because he went on Twitter a few months back and he was like, I would never work for GB News. GB News is a platform that I'll never work for. You'll never see me on GB News. And so the heads of GB News hit back with his CV because he applied to work there and they rejected him.
Good. Anyway, he's another knob.
He's a knob. He's a knob.
Yeah. So Joe Rogan's hit out of the Catholic Church.
Who doesn't Joe Rogan hit out at?
Yeah, but he's center filler. He does. So
is he wrong?
In my view, he's stating the obvious, but it's going to upset a lot of people.
Do you really think at this point in time Joe Rogan cares at all who he upsets or offends, right?
I don't think he does.
He's the slightly less good version of this.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to say. I think he's a bit like me, or he aspires to be more like me.
Yeah, he's the slightly less good version of this that simply managed to find himself an audience because he's got. But Joe Rogan's great. He is great. What he does is great. The fact that he interviews and talks to people uncensored from every side, and he's got the platform backing to do it, is pretty damn cool. Sure, they started to put disclaimer notices on some of his stuff, but they still let him speak.
Right. So NASA. We're going to NASA. We're going to the International Space Station now. So. I'm just going to say this, and I'm not going to offer any commentary or anything else, okay? But NASA has temporarily banned spacewalks again on the ISS because of the condition of the old, or the getting older spacesuits, and the fear of the astronauts drowning.
Moving on.
Moving on, did you see the Chinese space station CGI? It was marginally worse than NASA's, but oh my god, this was really poor CGI. Did you see it? No.
No.
Oh, you need to have a look at that. Just have a look at the Chinese space station walk.
Okay.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Okay.
So Gary Lineker apparently has a memory problem, right? So I don't know what's called.
He can't remember when he transitioned from black to white.
Yeah, but he can't remember. He can't remember why he's got a memory problem. I think we might have an idea. So
just fucking push the button, John.
You know what it is!
My aid memoir was Lineker forgets he is a dick.
So, just for the reference there, ladies and gentlemen, you've been hearing John push the button at several points tonight, and if you've noticed, he has removed the chair creak from the end.
Yes, I have.
He has. He's removed the chair creak. I didn't re-record it. Although I still need to re-record. I still need to record a load of sound bites for that.
Lazy git. Anyway, moving on. We're getting through the list quite well. Actually,
we've got about 15 to 20 minutes. We've got to pack it into.
Oh, well, fine. We've only got about 4 items left.
Oh, fantastic!
So, right. So London. If you have a heart attack, you're more likely to have armed police sent to you than you are to have an ambulance.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, because now the armed police service, for some reason, are doubling up as paramedics.
Well, we did get quite a lot of first aid training, but it was all to do with sucking chest wounds and things like that, so I don't know how that's going to help when it comes to our heart attack.
Dude.
Gonna punch all of this guy first, and then I'll treat his sucking chest wound.
Dude. You've got to understand here, at this point, none of these services, none of the people running these services give two shits what the logic behind these things are. They're just going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
It's because it shows that they're trying to do something. And so they're like, oh, no, we're going to send people with guns. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. They're having a heart attack, and then what they're going to see is someone with a fucking gun. And they're not going to have a heart attack even further when they see that. Not at all, John.
I know.
Jesus Christ, you're having a heart attack, you're barely conscious, and you see a massive gun coming in the door. It'll finish you off, John. It'll finish you off.
Did you see the old guy in London? Right.
Which one?
Right. So 5'8", 10.5 stone, 80-year-old pensioner. Right. In his house, commotion at the door. Comes down, goes through to the dining room, armed police. Okay. He goes, "Can I help you?" They then immediately tase him, right? They tase him, throw him to the kitchen floor.
He's dead, isn't he?
No, he's not dead. No, this guy's not dead. Kneel on, he's pissed off, though. He is pissed off.
I can imagine. I'm pretty pissed off.
Handcuff him, and then say you're under arrest. And he's going, "What for? What am I under arrest for?" And they set him up. Remember. So this guy is white, 5'8", 10.5 stone, right, and 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So they then tell him they're looking for a 30 to 35-year-old, 6'6" black guy built like a brick shithouse with a gun.
And they suspected it could be him.
He goes, "Well, have a look at me. That's hardly me." Maybe last week.
Well, look, listen, we're going to talk about...
It gets better. It gets better, right? So the Met Police have said, yes, we made a terrible mistake. and they reported themselves to the police commissioners. Or the police complaints
Good.
board, whatever it is.
Well, I think they definitely need to, right?
And he's putting an egg on it because he should be suing them.
I mean, let's face it. I personally have encountered what the ineptitude of lying police officers looks like this week.
Yes, we're not going into that any further.
No, I will not go into specifics, but I will broadly outline. Right? We have received. Huh? What?
God.
Look, just listen, John. All I'm going to say is, some people have told some verifiable lies. That's all I will say.
Right. Okay. Moving on. Mm-hmm. So in Texas, they're wanting to clone mammoths.
I know, and then I saw an article.
Should we eat them?
Should we eat them?
Yeah, hell yeah! Imagine going in and going, "Can I have a mammoth steak?"
Do you know what, John?
Wouldn't you want to eat them? Yeah.
Yes.
What, Ben?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we will eat your mammoths. I've had buffalo, I've had bison. Yeah, really mammoth.
Yeah.
I'd eat it and then I'd wear the coat. You make full use of the animal. Full use of the animal from its horn.
I mean, all of them people that hate equine, horse meat, and they probably ate it in their Burger King burger anyway. Right?
Yeah.
or in their Finder's lasagnas. They were quite the culprit during the horse meat scandal, weren't they? But the thing is,
that's true.
But when you tasted that stuff and you didn't know it was that stuff, you just thought it was probably a nicely flavoured beef burger, because equine horse meat tastes like basically beef but with a stronger flavour, in my opinion.
You need to say equine and horse meat. You can either say equine
/ horse meat.
Right, okay. That's like saying horse meat.
Whatever. But
well, Dark Spy, having seen you, how can I not tell that you love a crispy pancake?
I will say this, right, because I can't see the Twitch chat, I really can't. But Spencer took me out for a king-size carvery last night, right? Dark Spy did. And I was sitting there at the end of it going, oh... But I was looking at this plate of just meat, potatoes, gravy, mac and cheese and stuff like that, and I was just going, I will finish you. And I did. And you know what? I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it at all. And I want to thank you, Spencer, for that. It was very, very enjoyable indeed. And maybe there may be some things with Brian Stelter going forwards. We'll be having some discussions in the coming days. Let's move on, John.
Jacinda has slumped to a new low in the popularity polls.
Oh, they hate her.
Yeah, they do. They don't like her at all.
Resign Jacinda appears to be trending pretty much every single day at the moment.
Well, you know what? You can't treat your people like that for near on 3 years and then come out of it smelling of roses.
Well, I'm just gonna try and emulate Jacinda for a minute, because this is something she said on national TV, and this may not be word for word, right? If you have this treatment, you will not get sick and you will not die. She said that on national TV.
She did.
She did.
True. That's true. That's twice I've had to do that myself.
Yeah. So this woman, and do you know what? I've seen that exact clip shared on social media over and over again over the last sort of 24, 48 hours, saying she's a liar. Hashtag resign Jacinda. And there's so much more. Look at all the businesses, not just in New Zealand, but here in the UK and in pretty much any lockdown nation. They have been crushed. They have been destroyed. And it's so frustrating when you go on the internet on a show and you tell people this from the word go, and they go, you're being crazy. You're being a conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. And I'm just going, I know how an economy works, you bloody idiots.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Can't say any more.
No. Last item on the actual list, Domino's went to Italy and failed. They've just closed the last of their 29 stores that they had in Italy.
Do you know what?
You cannot take pizza to Italy and sell it to them.
No, of course you can't. But do you know what? I quite like a Domino's. I'm not going to lie.
You know what? I'm quite glad that they failed because you can't beat a decent Italian pizza.
Well, no, if you're in Italy, right?
To be fair, even some of the pizzas you get in places like New York and all that are pretty damn good. The Domino's stuff is crap.
Do you know the one thing I wish I had tried when I was in Chicago? But obviously I was a kid. But the one thing, looking back, I wish I'd tried was a genuine Chicago deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that. And do you know what? One day, John, we will have that pizza.
One day. Well, America and Canada seem to be the last two holdouts. They're still asking for proof of vaccination to get there, and nobody else is.
No,
What's
and I mean,
going
even old Macron has gone, we do not need this anymore. And
well, everybody's done it. Yeah, everybody's binned it now. It's like, come on.
it's a possibility that France and Germany do reinstate, though.
Oh, it's always a it's a French.
Germany
It changed
especially.
like wind.
Germany especially.
Yeah, Germany loved it, didn't they?
But I will say this for Germany, and in Germany's favour, they dropped the proof required before France did.
Yeah, I know. But that's because Macron's a tardy, cheese-eating surrender monkey.
I mean, I will say those at the ports of entry, the Eurotunnel, the Eurostar, the ferry ports must be going, thank the Lord we don't have to do that anymore.
I know.
I mean, obviously when I crossed last October, I just went, yeah. And that was it. and they let me cross. It wasn't exactly a thorough checking.
There was no problem crossing back into the UK.
No, of course there wasn't, because it was, well, I don't think there was anything required at the
The
time.
only thing they wanted to check was the dog.
There you go.
They scanned the dog and that was it.
There we
Right,
go.
I'm going to tell you a story.
I was going to do an advert, but you tell
Oh,
the
well,
story.
do the advert first and then I'll do the story. That's fine.
Coming this November, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start promoting this now because we want people to know about it, we want people to be told about it, and we want people to come and join us. This November, when the midterm elections happen in the United States, me and John will be doing an overnight show. Completely
thumping.
live.
Your picture's breaking up.
I
Right,
know.
carry on.
But an overnight show completely live for the entirety of the midterm election results as they come in the United States to see whether or not the Democrats or the Republicans control the House of Representatives and the Senate. So you're going to have to join us for some of it, because here in the UK you guys will probably sleep. But what we will ask is that you provide us with libations like coffee to keep us going, and spread the word, spread the good word, because if you want good, honest, funny midterm coverage, come to us. John, story time.
Yes, I'd like you to get yourselves ready for a little story. Now, this was, some of you probably seen this, but I thought it was quite funny, and I'm going to relate it to you.
Go on then.
So it's allegedly a post made by a millennial. So it starts like this. I don't mess around with anyone over 42. They're built different. Their families had them formally trained in some kind of strange weapons and defensive postures by the time they were 2. They had keys to the house by the age of 5. By 7, they could cook full meals, and by 9, they were totally self-sufficient. They left their house at dawn every summer morning and didn't come back till nightfall, and even then, sometimes later. They survived all day on water from garden hoses and puddles. They might get a sandwich on the off chance that someone's mum went to the shops. They spent 3/4 of their lives by themselves, with a parent maybe checking on them once or twice a month. Most of them have evaded at least one kidnapping attempt, and they know 15 different ways to remove bloodstains from clothing. They are the real. Fuck around with them, and then find out, people. I thought that was quite good. I
Press
like
the
that.
button. Press the button.
What one?
Not that one.
What one?
That's true.
What button? Oh,
That's true.
that's true.
That's true. But do you know what? Though I'm not over 42, a lot of that sounds like me, John. I was pretty self-sufficient, pretty young. I was cooking full meals at age 8. I was pretty, but that's because my mum was lazy. But the point is, we were pretty self-sufficient, pretty young, and we were going out with, we'd go out from morning till dusk.
Yeah.
We had a completely different life, and do you know what? Nothing really in the world has changed. Like people say, oh, there's more pedophiles and things like that around. There aren't.
No.
There's just as many. What there is now Facebook.
Well, it's actually, if you look at the stats, and I did look at the stats, right? And if you believe the stats, because stats can always lie, but generally you'd look at the stats and you'll analyse them. There's less crime than there's ever been, but the perception of crime is much higher than it's ever been.
Social media.
Because you know about everything.
Social media. Social
Exactly.
media has made people paranoid. Media has...
And 24-hour news channels.
Yeah, 24-hour rolling news is a devil, mate. It's the fucking devil. It really is. And what they do is, if they find something juicy to make you paranoid, to make you scared, to make you fearful, they will hammer it across every rolling news channel, no matter where you look.
That's true.
And they will make you afraid. And do you know what? If they can make you fearful and make you stay in your house, guess what they're getting? They're getting clicks. They're getting money, and that's what it's all about, right?
It's all about goggles on the box.
Yeah, it's all about the dollars and cents at the end of the day, and the sacrifice being made for that is basically our kids going out climbing trees, going out in big groups of friends, having fun, going out on their scooters and stuff like that. That shit rarely happens anymore in this world.
Yeah.
Social media, we thank you. Let us pray. To the gods of social media who have done nothing but keep us informed and safe. We thank you. We thank you for making us fearful. We thank you for making us paranoid. We thank you for keeping us safe. Fuck off.
Up already. It's science.
Yeah.
There you
Obi-Wan says, are we now speaking freely on YouTube?
Who said that?
Obi-Wan.
No, not quite.
Not quite. We're still being careful with what we say, right?
We're reporting what's occurring in the mainstream media.
Yeah. We are reporting what's occurring, and we're still being careful with what we say.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we have to be careful with what we say, to be honest. And like I said, if you want my opinion on that airplane situation, then join us tonight, directly after the show, at the after party. And the way to do that is to sign up at patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed subscribestar.com/Chasing Dissent. And as we bring this show to a close and you see the end credits roll over on the Patreon, the link will come up for you to come into the show and join us for half an hour and have a chat, and it will not be broadcast, and it's just a perk for being a patron and for us to personally speak to you and say thank you for supporting us, honestly. So, John. Close the show.
With that, I'd like to thank you one and all for attending this episode 111. That's 111 of this fine show that we know as Chasing Dissent. We bid you good day, good evening, and may your God go with you. Good night.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist.
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience. Still. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.